I can't believe that I'm about to say a movie about a super fast blue hedgehog was really good. Yet here we are. Okay, first, I'm not going to talk any spoilers. I'll let you know when I get into spoilers just in case you haven't seen the movie yet. I'm one of those nuts that sees all sci-fi fantasy-ish video game genre movies opening night, so I'll let you know when I get to spoilers because I do not want to screw up the whole love triangle with Sonic, Robotniks, and Tails for you. Oh, and I don't know if this is relevant to you, so I only played the original Sonic game that came out in 1991, and I may have watched an animated series. In my head, I can see it, I just don't remember any of it, and why that's important is because the only references and Easter eggs I am going to get when it comes to the Sonic games is from the original one. So if there are more from other games that I missed, let me know in the comment section down below. Although I'm not listing off all the Easter eggs in this movie. So just let me know all the Easter eggs in the comment section down below, just to be safe. Just write them all. I would say that if you like the Sonic franchise, or you liked any of the games at any point in your life, watch this movie. It's not going to shit on your childhood or whatever adult babies say nowadays. It's a good movie. It's good. It has a lot of nostalgia. There were a lot of things that were recalled in my brain, even though I haven't played a Sonic game. I'm gonna guess in over 2 decades. I feel like that would be a safe assumption to make. But it was good nostalgia. It wasn't oh, you're using nostalgia to sell me this product, which of course they were to a certain degree, but I never felt like it was shoved in my face. By the way, the music for this movie, they took the main Sonic theme that most of us kind of associate with Sonic, and they varied it just a little bit throughout the movie, and it was so good. The music was phenomenal. And, this is probably a controversial opinion. I like video game soundtracks. I listen to playlists of just video game music because I enjoy it. I think a lot of them are very beautiful and underappreciated because I'm an uncultured swine, apparently. Anytime you tell someone you like video game music, they're just like, oh, and then they straighten their monocle or whatever. The music, really good. I think they did a good job with Sonic. Of course, they had to redesign him because the internet had a freak out. He's a bamf without being too overpowered, which we know is always an issue with speedsters. They're just too OP. And they didn't have his speed consistent throughout this movie, and I think it's just because of the speedster problem. A lot of them, they're just so fast that they would solve all their problems, and you have to have ridiculous villains with certain power sets to overcome it. So definitely his speed is not consistent throughout this movie, but I think they did a good job with it regardless, and just his character design in general. I thought he was adorable. Also, I know it's the actor's job to act, but they did a really good job, all of the actors, of making me believe Sonic was actually in those scenes to the point where I was blown away. I have seen CGI characters inserted into movies where you could tell the actor had no fucking idea where the character was, or they were just phoning it in, and everybody brought their A game in this movie. It was really cool to see. Although also fun to imagine in your head scenes where the actors are just talking to an empty space and interacting with it. And then because of that, I went and saw the behind the scenes footage for this movie, and it was even funnier to see scenes where they hadn't added in the CGI yet, but the actors are talking to Sonic. It tickled me a bit. The humor in this movie was actually really good. Now, I understand this is a PG movie and it's made for kids. Obviously, I've seen plenty of kids shows and movies that are able to incorporate adult humor and make it enjoyable for adults, mostly for parents. They're assuming you're going with your kids. I'm just a sad cat lady with no children, so, you know, we don't need to talk about that. I laughed so many times during this movie, and that's not always the case when it comes to children movies. It's not really geared towards me, and I can usually really tell. This movie, I think I laughed more than the kids in the theater, which is probably pretty obnoxious, but the humor just hit right. It was over the top in certain areas, but again, for kids, that's what tickles them. I don't know why I did the hand thing. It was weird. Jim Carrey as Robotnik was awesome. Going back to the over-the-topness, he did that quite a bit, but one, that's just Jim Carrey in general, and two, it's, again, a kid's movie, so the over-the-top crazy actions is just what you expect. By the way, I'm not knocking you if you normally laugh through children's movies and shows. I think you type of people are awesome. My dad was always like that. He found cartoons amusing his entire life. I'm just not that cool. I just don't have the type of sense of humor that I can laugh my ass off about cartoons. Sorry. It's a personal flaw I'm working on. So I know it's kind of shitty to say, wow, this is really good for a video game adaptation, but honestly, there have been a lot of video game movies that just were not good. Although a few that I feel like don't get praised enough, but that doesn't matter here. So I give it probably a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. I would actually see it again. Not in theaters, but I would definitely play it in my home. So go see it if you haven't. Because now I'm getting into spoilers. Hey, James Marsden didn't get cucked for once in a movie. Good for you, man. I think they definitely did a good choice with casting James in this role. I know I heard some other people saying that his character was super boring, but honestly, I really liked him, and you kind of need a straight man in these type of movies, and there were a lot of scenes where the humor was so predictable and could have been so cringy, but he pulled it off. Just his acting and how charming he is. I think they made a good choice. I really enjoyed his character. I didn't find him boring at all. Says the cat lady, so take that with a grain of salt. I'm a little disappointed that Robotnik didn't get his signature look until the end of the movie. I think it was a post-credit scene where he's in the mushroom world and he shaves his head and his mustache has gotten all crazy. I do like that they opened it up for a sequel with Tails showing up. I'm assuming Tails is from Sonic's original home, and there are some issues with maybe people taking over, and Tails heard of the legendary Sonic with power, and he went to go get him, and then maybe the sequel will take place in Sonic's homeworld. I think that would be fucking awesome. Then they could go completely crazy, and we could get the video game scenery in the movie instead of just getting it in the beginning. By the way, his adoptive mom dying, I teared up a little bit. Don't make fun of me. I'm not even PMSing. I teared up a little bit. Although the internet has ruined me because even though we didn't see Knuckles, all I heard in my head was, "Do you know the way?" The internet is such a horrifyingly wonderful place. Oh, wait, with Robotnik, I want to talk about his little evil dance where he was with the screen and, like, doing the skiing and then the T-Rex biting off his head. It was so close to being pure cringe, but Jim Carrey pulled it off. And I'm kind of tired of Jim Carrey at this point in my life. I've spent too many decades with the man, seeing him in movies, just being his obnoxious, overhyped self. I laughed during that scene, and I loved the T-Rex biting off his head. Hilarious. I do have a complaint about Sonic. I really did not like the rip-off Quicksilver scenes. If you're gonna do it, at least add on to it and make it a better version. Your music choice was shittier. The scene was even shittier. It wasn't as fun, and I feel like they could have manipulated Sonic's speed in a way to not make it a Quicksilver ripoff 2 times in this movie. I understand when you have a speedster, you gotta show how OP they were, but when you also did those scenes, you showed how absolutely ridiculously stupid it was when he didn't have the speed to do other things. It was just very inconsistent. And I say this so many times and people don't seem to get this. In fantasy, you need to be consistent with your rules. Even if it's for kids, even if it's a show with fucking dragons and magic, it needs to be consistent. That doesn't mean you can do whatever the fuck you want when you want. That's bad writing. Shame on you. Put your fucking nose in the corner. I don't know how I feel about Sonic flossing, not once, but twice in this movie. And no, for old people like me, not flossing like your teeth, flossing the dance from, I think maybe Fortnite or PUBG, one of the two. I'm guessing Fortnite. They have crazy dances and stuff. I think that was for fellow kids. How much did Olive Garden pay you, Paramount? You know what I really want? I want them to release the footage before they put the CGI in. I just want to watch an entire movie of all these actors interacting with nothing. I think that would be the funniest fucking thing ever. Do you remember the end scene where Tom is putting his arm around his wife and it's over Sonic? And the scene would be so awkward without Sonic there. It already seemed a little like body position awkward, but I want it. Release it. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Sonic. I liked it, but you can let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. Was it a total abomination? Did you just waste those minutes of your life you're never gonna get back? But deep down, you know, you weren't gonna use those minutes to do anything worthy anyways. I really appreciate that the movie was under 2 hours. Thanks, Paramount.